If your camera feels too big to carry every day, the problem may not be the camera, it may be the lens. In 2026, tiny lenses are becoming one of the smartest ways to make a setup lighter, simpler, and more enjoyable. From Canon's RF 28mm Pancake to Nikon's Z 26mm, Fuji's 27mm, and Sony's compact G primes, these are the tiny lenses photographers actually use. If this sounds like the kind of content you want more of, subscribe to Alt Buzz Lenses. This channel is about glass that makes sense in real life, not just on a spec sheet. Now, let's get into the 10 tiny lenses worth carrying in 2026. At number 10, we have the Viltrox AF 28mm f 4.5, and it goes by the name Chip, which tells you almost everything you need to know about it. This is not a lens that was built to impress a review chart. It is a lens that was built to ask one very specific question: how small can a fully functional autofocus lens actually get? The answer Viltrox arrived at is almost absurd. Mount it on a Sony E-body and the camera stops feeling like a camera in the traditional sense. It feels like something you could genuinely slip into a coat pocket, pull out in a market, and start shooting before anyone notices you are holding a serious piece of glass. For a certain kind of street photographer, that alone is worth everything. But it comes with real compromises, and skipping over them would be dishonest. The fixed f4.5 aperture means low-light shooting is limited. Corner sharpness softens. Flare shows up in ways that some photographers will love and others will find frustrating. This is not the lens you reach for when you need controlled, precise results. It is the lens you reach for when you want to shoot quietly, quickly, and without drawing attention, when you want the camera to disappear and the moment to matter. For casual street shooters and photographers who want the most compact autofocus setup possible, the Chip earns its place. For anyone who needs sharpness, low light power, or professional level output, it is an honest skip. This is not the best tiny lens optically. It is the lens that asks how small autofocus glass can actually get. At number 9, we have the Canon EF-S 24mm f2.8 STM. And for a lot of Canon DSLR users, this small pancake changed the way their camera felt to carry. Canon's APS-C DSLR lineup produced some genuinely great cameras: the Rebel series, the 90D, the 200D, solid, capable bodies that millions of photographers use for years. But they all had the same problem. Pair them with a kit zoom, and the whole setup became a commitment. The Canon EF-S 24mm STM solved that. It is a true pancake, thin, flat, and light enough to transform a bulky DSLR into something almost pocketable. The 35mm equivalent field of view is practical and versatile. The STM focusing is quiet and smooth, and the price has always been accessible. For street photography, travel, family moments, food shots, and casual everyday use, it punches well above what its size suggests it should be capable of. The honest caveat is the system it belongs to. This lens is native to Canon's EF-S mount, which means it was designed for APS-C DSLRs. Mirrorless Canon RF users can use it with an adapter, but if you have made the jump to an RF body, there are better native options available. This lens belongs to the Canon DSLR era, and for users still in that era, it remains one of the best value upgrades available. Drop the kit zoom, mount this, and your camera will feel like a different machine. This is the tiny lens that made old Canon DSLRs feel fresh again. At number 8, we have the OM System M.Zuiko 17mm f1.8 Mark II. And this lens carries a message the rest of the list needs you to hear early. Tiny does not have to mean slow. Micro Four Thirds, as a system, has always had a reputation for compact glass, but compact glass is often associated with slower apertures, lenses that stay small by giving up brightness. The M.Zuiko 17mm f1.8 Mark II refuses that compromise. It gives OM System and Olympus shooters a compact prime with a 34mm equivalent field of view and a genuinely useful f1.8 maximum aperture. That combination opens up real creative possibilities, background separation that a Pancake lens cannot produce, low light performance that smaller aperture options simply cannot match, and a natural field of view that works beautifully for street photography, documentary shooting, environmental portraits, and travel. The Mark II version improves on its predecessor with better coatings, refined handling, and a close minimum focus distance that makes it more flexible than most compact primes in its class. It is not the flattest lens in the Micro Four Thirds catalog. If absolute thinness is your priority, the Panasonic 20mm f1.7 may suit you better. But if you want compact glass that performs with real confidence in a wide range of situations, the M.Zuiko 17mm is one of the strongest everyday primes in the entire Micro Four Thirds system. It earns its place on this list not because it is the smallest, but because it proves that a tiny lens can still be a genuinely capable one. This lens proves tiny does not have to mean slow. At number 7, we have the Panasonic Lumix G 20mm f1.7 Mark II. And this one carries a kind of history that not many compact lenses can claim. But now we move from fun tiny lenses to the kind of compact glass that helped entire camera systems feel serious. When Micro Four Thirds was finding its identity as a system, it needed to prove something. It needed to show that a smaller sensor format could produce genuinely useful, genuinely capable cameras, not just smaller cameras that compromised on everything. The Panasonic 20mm f1.7 was one of the lenses that made that argument real. A 40mm equivalent field of view, a bright f1.7 maximum aperture, and a Pancake profile thin enough to make a Micro Four Thirds body feel almost jacket pocketable. That combination won over photographers who had dismissed the system entirely. It became a benchmark, a reference point. The lens that Micro Four Thirds shooters recommended to each other, carried on trips, and reached for when they wanted their camera to disappear into everyday life. The Mark II version keeps everything that made the original great while refining the optical formula and handling. The one honest caveat worth mentioning is autofocus performance. By modern standards, this lens is not the fastest or most reliable in fast action or video focus situations. For street photography, travel, everyday moments, and low-light casual shooting, it is still excellent. But if smooth, rapid autofocus for moving subjects or video is a priority, newer lenses in the Micro Four Thirds system may serve you better. For everyone else, Panasonic, Olympus, and OM System users who want a small, bright, beautifully handling everyday prime, this remains one of the most satisfying compact lenses in the system. This is the tiny lens that helped Micro Four Thirds feel serious. At number 6, we have the Sigma 45mm f2.8 DGDN Contemporary, and this one is a little different from every other lens on this list. It is not the thinnest, it is not the lightest, it is not the widest or the fastest. What it is the compact, full-frame lens that reminds you why physicality matters in a camera system. Pick it up, mount it on a Sony A7 body or an L-mount camera, and the experience immediately tells you that Sigma thought carefully about this. The aperture ring has a mechanical quality that most modern lenses have abandoned. The build feels composed and deliberate without being heavy. The 45mm focal length gives a perspective close to what the human eye sees naturally, not dramatically wide, not telephoto compressed, just honest and direct in a way that suits street photography, documentary work, and everyday carry beautifully. For full-frame Sony E and L-mount shooters who have grown frustrated with how large and heavy compact glass can still feel, this lens offers something different. It is not trying to win a size competition. It is trying to make full-frame shooting feel considered and enjoyable, rather than like carrying equipment. The f2.8 maximum aperture is the honest compromise. It will not give you dramatic background blur or serious low-light isolation. Photographers who want maximum subject separation or need a lens that performs confidently in dark environments will find faster options more useful. But for the Sony or L-mount shooter who wants compact full-frame glass that genuinely rewards daily use, the Sigma 45mm is one of the most characterful options available. This is the tiny full-frame lens for photographers who care about feel as much as size. We are halfway through this list, and the lenses coming up are the ones that tend to change how often photographers actually pick up their cameras. If you enjoy guides like this one, guides that go beyond specs and help you figure out which glass makes sense in your real life, subscribe to Alt Buzz Lenses. This channel is about lenses photographers use, carry, and remember. Hit subscribe and stay with us for the top 5. At number 5, we have the Nikon Z 40mm f2, and this is where the list starts moving from tiny novelty into tiny lenses that can genuinely become your everyday lens. Nikon's Z system has a few compact options, and the conversation often gravitates toward the 26mm Pancake at the very top of this list. But the 40mm f2 deserves more credit than it usually receives because it is arguably the more practical choice for more Nikon shooters. The f2 maximum aperture gives it real low light usefulness, meaningful background separation on full frame and APS-CZ bodies, and genuine flexibility in the kind of mixed light situations that everyday photography produces. The 40mm focal length sits in a comfortable middle ground, wide enough for environmental shots and contextual street work, long enough to compress a scene slightly and give portraits a natural feel. It handles family moments, travel days, and casual documentary shooting with a kind of quiet competence that larger primes often obscure. The honest picture here is that this is a slightly larger lens than the Pancake-style compact you might imagine when you think tiny. Compared to the Z26mm, it is noticeably thicker. Compared to Nikon's premium S-line primes, it feels more utilitarian in build, but those are the trade-offs that make it affordable and practical rather than aspirational. For Nikon Z users who want a small, bright, genuinely flexible prime that works across both full-frame and APS-CZ bodies, this is often the better everyday decision, even if it is not the most dramatic one on the list. This is Nikon's practical tiny prime. Not the thinnest, but maybe the one more people should actually buy. At number 4, we have the Sony FE 40mm f2.5G, and Sony got something right with this one that the rest of the industry is still catching up to. Sony's full-frame system has always produced exceptional large lenses. G master glass that is optically stunning, technically brilliant, and built for professional demands. But for a long time, Sony's compact full-frame options felt like an afterthought. Functional, but lacking the handling and tactile quality that made using them a genuine pleasure. The FE 40mm f2.5G changed that. This lens is part of a carefully considered trio of compact G-series primes that Sony designed specifically to make full-frame shooting feel accessible, portable, and enjoyable, rather than burdensome. The 40mm version hits a natural focal length, pairs beautifully with Sony's more compact A7C bodies, and delivers autofocus performance that keeps up with Sony's best, fast, confident, and well-suited to both stills and video. The aperture ring is smooth and well dampened. The build quality exceeds what the price might suggest. In the hand, it feels like a premium lens that happens to be compact rather than a compact lens that happens to be acceptable. The honest caveat is cost. For photographers who want the cheapest possible way into compact Sony full-frame shooting, there are more affordable options. The Samyang and Sigma compact primes offer good performance at a lower price point. But for Sony shooters who want a small lens that feels premium in every interaction and performs with genuine confidence across a wide range of everyday situations, the 40mm f2.5G is one of the best compact lenses Sony has ever made. This is the tiny lens that makes Sony full frame feel like a compact camera again. At number 3, we have the Fujifilm XF 27mm f2.8 RWR. And for Fujifilm shooters, this might be the lens that most completely captures what a tiny lens is actually supposed to do. But the next 3 lenses on this list are the ones that really show why compact glass matters in 2026, because they can change how often photographers carry their cameras. Fujifilm's X system has always had a particular philosophy: small bodies, strong sensors, analog feeling controls, and a shooting experience designed to feel engaged and personal, rather than automated and distant. The 27mm f2.8 RWR is the lens that completes that philosophy for everyday use. Mount it on an XE body, an XS body, or an XT body, and the camera shrinks dramatically, not just in terms of length, but in terms of how it sits in a bag, how it feels on a shoulder strap, and how much it asks of you just to bring it somewhere. The 40mm equivalent field of view is natural and versatile. The weather resistance opens up shooting in conditions where other compact lenses would stay shelved. The flat pancake profile makes the whole system genuinely jacket pocketable in a way that very few interchangeable lens setups can claim. The honest limitation is the f2.8 maximum aperture. For photographers who want strong background separation or confident low-light isolation, this lens will leave them wanting more. Portrait shooters in particular may find the rendering too flat and the subject separation too modest. But for street photographers, travel documentarians, and everyday carry shooters who want a compact Fujifilm setup that can handle weather and real-world use without drama, this lens turns a Fujifilm camera into the kind of camera that lives outside the bag rather than inside it. This is the lens that turns a Fujifilm camera into the kind of camera you actually carry every day. At number 2, we have the Nikon NIKKOR Z 26mm f2.8, and this one is as close to a modern pancake ideal as the Nikon Z system has produced. There's something satisfying about a lens that commits fully to a single idea. The Z 26mm does not try to be the fastest prime in the system. It does not try to be the sharpest or the most versatile. It tries to be the flattest, most compact option available for Nikon Z to full-frame shooters who want their camera to take up as little space as possible, and it succeeds with conviction. Mount it on a Z6 or Z5 body, and the difference is immediately apparent. The camera stops feeling like a mirrorless system with a lens attached and starts feeling like a composed, carry-everywhere tool. The 26mm focal length gives a slightly wider than normal perspective that works well for travel, street photography, documentary shooting, and environmental portraiture. It is not dramatically wide, it does not distort or feel aggressively architectural, it simply sees the world a little more broadly than a standard lens, which gives compositions more context and space. The honest picture is that the Z 26mm makes some compromises to achieve that thinness. It is not the best value lens in Nikon's compact range. The Z 40mm f2 offers more brightness and arguably more creative flexibility at a similar or slightly higher price point. And it is not a low-light specialist. FE 2.8 on a full-frame sensor is capable, but photographers who shoot regularly in darker environments will feel the limitation. For Nikon Z users whose primary goal is making their camera as small and flat as possible, this lens delivers that goal more completely than anything else in the system. This is Nikon's true pancake, the lens that makes a Z camera shrink. At number 1, we have the Canon RF 28mm f2.8 STM, and at number 1 is the tiny lens that may not be the fastest or most luxurious, but gives one of the biggest modern camera systems exactly what it needed: a small, affordable lens people will actually use. Canon's RF mount launched as a full-frame mirrorless system built around large, optically ambitious lenses. The L-series glass that defined early RF was exceptional, but it was also heavy, expensive, and entirely at odds with the idea of a compact, carry-everywhere setup. For years, RF users who wanted a genuinely small, everyday prime had very few native options. The Canon RF 28mm f2.8 STM changed that equation. It is a real pancake thin enough to shrink an R8 or R50 body dramatically, light enough that you forget it is there, and affordable enough that it becomes an easy recommendation for photographers who want a native full-frame compact without spending premium money. The 28mm focal length gives a slightly wide perspective that suits street photography, travel, family moments, casual video, and everyday documentary use. It works beautifully on Canon's APS CRF bodies as well, giving a 44mm equivalent field of view that is versatile and natural. The honest compromises are real and worth naming. There is no weather sealing. There is no optical stabilization. The f2.8 maximum aperture means low light performance trails behind faster primes by a meaningful margin. For photographers who need f1.8 brightness, premium construction, or protection in difficult weather conditions, Canon's RF lineup offers better options at higher prices. But for the Canon RF shooter who wants a native full-frame prime that makes their camera small enough to actually carry, and who does not want to spend several hundred more to get there, this lens is the most straightforward, honest recommendation on the entire list. This is the tiny lens that makes Canon RF feel lighter, simpler, and more affordable. Tiny lenses are not about beating bigger glass. They are about making sure your camera is there when the moment happens. The lens that gets used most is not always the fastest, the sharpest, or the most expensive. It is the one that makes the camera small enough to come with you. The best tiny lens is not always the lens with the biggest specs. It is the lens that makes your camera small enough to be part of your life again. If you enjoyed this guide and want more content like it, subscribe to Alt Buzz Lenses. We will see you in the next one.